Hello everyone and welcome to The Vortex, where lies and falsehoods are trapped and exposed. I'm Michael Vors, coming to you this week from Rome, where we're here for a number of meetings and visits. Last week, we told you about the comments of Cardinal Raymond Burke when he said that there was a need to correct the abuses at Mass because people are losing their faith owing to those abuses. He was talking about the Novus Ordo Mass. He was joined in those comments by another cardinal who agreed that disobedient or cowardly bishops primarily are to blame for the current state of affairs. Well, another bishop appears to be advancing the same message, albeit from a different perspective. This particular bishop just happens to be the Bishop of Rome, right here, the Pope. For weeks now, speculation has been swirling around a document which rumors say will be released very soon by the Pope. It's a follow-up document to the official orders from the Pope back in 2007, which allowed any priest anywhere to say the traditional Latin Mass without permission from his bishop. A little context is helpful here. It's no secret that a huge number of bishops in the West simply oppose or at least are not favorably disposed towards the traditional Latin Mass. Many had simply refused to allow it to be offered in their diocese, even after Pope John Paul II had asked them to be very nicely to be more generous about that Mass. Well, unsurprisingly, and in a manner of business pretty much as usual, most of the bishops just ignored the Pope. Eventually, in 2007, Pope Benedict simply went around the bishops who were politely opposing the Mass and issued what is called a motu proprio, which means on his own initiative. It was hotly debated by bishops opposed to it, and a sort of PR machine set itself up against it as a way to try and submarine it before it became official. All sorts of fears and trepidations were raised by various bishops of the Pope, warning of division within the Church. That's rather rich, coming from many who have spent a career actually sowing division. Despite all the objections, Benedict released the document and gave priests the ability to offer the Mass without their bishop's consent. Well, you would think that was the end of it, right? But those clerics opposed to the traditional Latin Mass are a stubborn lot. Many of them have since thrown up roadblocks and made things difficult for priests who began offering the Mass. Nothing official, mind you. That's not how this group works. Never official, never out in the open, but nonetheless always working behind the scenes in loud and powerful whispers. Here on the streets of Rome, the talk is that this newly anticipated document will actually increase the power of the Pope's earlier document to broaden the offering for the traditional Latin Mass. Inside word is that seminaries will be instructed to prepare their students using the traditional liturgy. And word is, there is a clearly worded instruction directly to the bishops to stop placing restraints on the use of the traditional Latin Mass and adhere to the Pope's wishes to make it more accessible to the faithful. You can just hear the wailing and gnashing of teeth in old liberals' nursing homes all over the Western world. When you step back and look at the big picture, something very interesting comes into focus. The Holy Father has made no secret of the fact that he places a great deal of emphasis on the Mass. He's written extensively and spoken just as extensively on it. He's launched what has been termed the reform of the reform. Loyalists to the Holy Father are in complete agreement with him. Save the liturgy and save the world. So what we see here is an increasing list of cautions and concerns about the abuses of the current Mass, the Novus Ordo, even to the point of people losing their faith. This isn't to say that the traditional Latin Mass is free of abuses, but owing to the fact that the Novus Ordo Mass, the one that a vast majority of Catholics attend, has suffered immensely from a number of large abuses. It's the primary focus in Rome right now. So, what is beginning to be seen rather visibly is a move to shore up the new Mass, for example, with more elegant translations coming out this year, which were, of course, opposed greatly by the anti-Mass crowd. All of that while the traditional Latin Mass is being all the more advanced. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to see where these winds of change are blowing. It's interesting. One very well-respected journalist here in Rome quoted a cardinal anonymously a few months back. That cardinal said, "In 50 years, there will be no more Novus Ordo Mass." Is he merely speculating, or does he know more than what he's saying? Whether that comes to pass or not, many of us most likely won't be around to know, but most of us will be seeing more and more actions and directives coming from Rome that certainly make that an interesting point of view. If, and that's a still big if based on Roman rumors, but if all of this is true about the upcoming document, and some seminarians have to start training how to say the Latin Mass, then it seems that Benedict has changed the whole nature of the game. It might be said that after 50 years of confusion and abuses and questions and disobedience, Rome's time has finally come, and the ground is only now just being prepared. From Rome, I'm Michael Voris. God bless you.
Please help us keep delivering these kinds of messages that so desperately need to be heard and acted on. Join RealCatholicTV.com today as a premium subscriber. Become immersed in the faith established by Jesus Christ. The Catholic Church is the only hope against evil because that is its God-given mission. As our Lord said, apart from me, you can do nothing. Join RealCatholicTV.com today as a premium subscriber and come to learn and love Christ more deeply.